Hello, we're Noel and Catherine. We're here in McLean, Virginia.
So we recently remodeled our kitchen and our first floor. The way it looked before was there was a wall here when you walked in, so the dining room and the living room was completely separated. There was a step down. This house was built in the 80s, so there's a lot of levels in the house. The walls were yellow and the floor was a really dark reddish mahogany color. In the kitchen, it was also closed off. It had an L-shaped island and it was just really dark. There was one small window. We knew we always wanted to remodel it, but was just looking for the right time, and then look for the opportunity to kind of just open it up, make it feel a lot brighter, allow a lot more natural light in it, and just lighten up the colors in the kitchen. We're interviewing. We really liked the concept that they had remodeled a very similar home that looked like exact same footprint and same vision. So being able to really see the end product helped us envision what our house could be too. When we had interviewed a couple other remodeling companies and design companies, they either discouraged us from having the open floor concept, or the concept was just really a lot different from what we had wanted. So this felt like it was a good blend of having the vision, but then also having the experience that they've executed that in the past.
Yeah, I think we went through a lot of different sort of iterations and thoughts from different designers in terms of like really doing a whole blowout and extending the house, or just working with what we had and just rearranging the cabinets and so forth. So I think definitely vision in terms of what they thought was capable, and so they walked us through that, and I think we definitely were on the same page in terms of what we wanted. Yeah, so then I think we met with a couple other designers. We got a few other proposals actually, and then but then I think some of the designs were they were definitely a lot different. People had a lot of different views, but I think Talha's view, he kind of worked on a house that was somewhat similar in terms of the layout. So it really gave us an idea of what was possible, and I think him sharing that with us really was just eye-opening in terms of what we could do.
Yeah, and I think there was a lot of ideas that we didn't even consider, like for example, like the hood, or the way that the furniture was, the appliances were laid out, and it's like completely flush against the wall. It was something that we hadn't considered, so that was helpful that he had some pictures where he'd done it before, and like really pushed us to think beyond what we had envisioned. I think we just wanted like an open design, bright, but then some of the other ideas were not something that we had considered, but then when we saw it in person or in the pictures, it was a lot better than what we had initially envisioned. So that was really fun process of designing everything.
Yes, Catherine mentioned like this house was built in the 80s, so then they had like a step down in terms of like when you walk in, there was like a wall here which really closed off the kitchen, and so it was just dark. There was only one window in the kitchen, and then we had sort of a butler's pantry and then like the mud room which was adjacent to that. But then I think to make everything a lot more modern, Tal really shared these ideas of like taking down the wall, lifting up the floor, and so making it more cohesive, and then really rearranging the mudroom. It's actually like it's probably the same size, but the way it's designed is like is way more functional. And then having the layout of even the appliances in there, and having them stacked, and then having the closets, so it's a lot more useful now. It looks more organized, and it's just and it flows better too, going through the mudroom to the garage, and then through to the kitchen.
So the overall experience working with Taha is really great. From the beginning, even in the design process, it was a lot of fun. We were pretty indecisive in general, so I think being able to narrow down the selections, like when we came in, the selections were already pretty narrowed down for us. But he was also really flexible and giving us some other ideas, but that really helped because I felt like everything that he presented, kind of like the first round, we really enjoyed, but then throughout the process, if I was going back in my decision and just had some questions, Taha was always available to answer anything that we may be second questioned. So it was just helpful to have somebody to bounce around like ideas, but then had also a very specific vision that he would help us make sure, advise us if it wouldn't flow well or it was a good idea. Throughout the process, it was good. I mean, we lived in the house, so that brought on its own challenges, but we made it work. And I think, having everything planned up in advance allowed us to make sure things can go as smoothly as we could plan it to. And then as far as the end result, I think everything was so worth it. Like living through the construction, and we were really happy with it. I think it's a lot better than what we had even envisioned in the beginning when we said we wanted our kitchen renovated. And how it flows now from the kitchen to our living room, to our dining room, the mudroom, and even kind of other areas in the first floor. It feels like a really cohesive space versus a kitchen that was remodeled in 2023 and then the rest of the house was made in the 80s, 90s. So now it feels really cohesive and everything feels a lot more fresher. It doesn't feel like we're leaving a house that's made in the 80s.
And I think also, as Catherine said, in terms of like Taha's design eye, like getting his feedback, getting his initial thoughts, because I think, after meeting with him, he kind of had a sense of like what we wanted, and he really shared those thoughts with us. So it was definitely a collaborative process. And then I think also is, in terms of like half the house, the rest of the house being built in the 80s, like there was other touches that he considered, like the railings and so forth, that would make it more modern on this whole floor. And then I think also just in terms of the whole process, I mean, the crew was fantastic. I think everyone we met was very, very personable, very nice, very professional. So we were definitely happy with that.